Lincoln, I will start with you. You know, you are the man that FIFA trusted, that they put in charge to say, you know what, Zimbabwe football has gone through a very difficult time. But we want you and Rosemary and Cynthia and Skumbuzo and all the other guys in the Normalisation Committee to come and fix Zimbabwe football. It's been a period of 3 months. Maybe just give us an update briefly of what you guys have been doing since you guys were put in place until now.
We've had an exciting time, exciting and interesting time. But most importantly, we've actually realized how resourceful and how helpful the people within the country are. You might have identified us 5, but the reality is we're getting support from all corners. You know, many stakeholders we're talking to, many people who love the game have been volunteering their advice, and it's made it very interesting. We've seen people we last saw in the football grounds.
So it's been a bit of a reunion of sorts.
Reunion of sorts, yeah. But to me, it just shows that football is about teamwork. It's not this 5 of us. It's the whole country that makes soccer happen.
Rosemary, I know we talked briefly about your history as a former player. You've worked as a coach. At the time that you were roped into this Normalisation Committee, you were also working as a coach. As someone who was active in the game, how important was it for you to be roped into this Normalisation Committee, and what contributions, even though it's still in the early stages, do you feel like you've made so far to the committee and the work of rebuilding Zimbabwe football?
I think it has been interesting, and as you know that I was employed at Harare City as the Harare City head coach, but it's an opportunity that availed itself for me to learn at the higher level, and I'm very grateful for FIFA to have that trust in me. As you know, each and every time we could cry out that women are not given equal opportunities, and as you look within our executive, it's 3 versus 2. That shows that women now, we are taking the lead and we are slowly getting there. But the major thing that we want to do as Normalisation Committee is to change the face of Zimbabwean football, rebranding of Zimbabwean football. And our women at most of the times were looked down. But now, as Normalisation Committee, we said when the boys are coming to camp for the Chan or COSAFA tournament, they will have this share fair, be it the allowances, be it everything. It's going to be equal.
So it's equal pay for both the men and the women?
Exactly. And even the accommodation, you remember ladies were always camped at Zifa Village, but we said no, it's have to be equal. And we had the fortunate that our girls and boys were in camp for the very first time. At the same time, the boys preparing to go to Botswana, and the ladies are preparing to go to COSAFA. And we said to ourselves, we can't put our ladies in the city center. We wanted to set accommodation for them, and we had our people in place. And we looked for Pandari because it's a bit quiet and it's far from the town. That's suitable for camp. And our ladies were camped at Pandari for the past 8 days. And we are happy that they showed appreciation from what we have done. And we hope to improve our game going forward as women and as men as well. And the good thing about FIFA is they give equal opportunities, whether you are a boy or a girl, in terms of development. And this is exactly what we've been lagging behind. And I'm happy that Proton has chipped in terms of sponsoring the under-20 boys. But FIFA and CAF also have those kinds of developments in place. And as Zimbabwe have not been on board, maybe we are not serious about rebranding and making sure that we, as Zimbabwe, we build a strong nationality in terms of our football. And the only way to go is our grassroots. We need to have a proper structure and development at grassroots in our youth as well.
All right, she says we're focused on brand Zimbabwe football, and I think one of the biggest takeaways from what Rosemary has just said, equal pay, because we see globally the trend is, even with the bigger nations, you think about United States, you think about Spain, these are topical conversations in world football. I think even FIFA has been challenged to say, you know what, even when it comes to the prize money for the major tournaments, whether it's the FIFA Women's World Cup or the Men's World Cup, let's have equal play. But right here, 3 months into their reign, FIFA have already instituted that, and I hope we can see some consistency. Obviously, this is a start. You guys might be looking to make an impression. Hopefully, we can see systems put in place that go beyond even your tenure at the end of July next year, that we can see that equal pay structure being followed even long after the lifespan of the Normalisation Committee. Lincoln, I'll revert back to you. Rosemary highlighted brand Zimbabwe in terms of football, and obviously, you know, it's talked about the 3-2 majority, and you obviously have a passion point, women's football. But looking holistically at the approach that Zifa is taking, outside of what she's mentioned on women's football, what are the things you guys want to see Zimbabwe football be associated with as a brand?
Okay, I think from a branding point of view, people have tended to look down on footballers in the past. But we are trying to bring the narrative that this is a business. And if football is to be treated like a business, we have to bring the seriousness, we have to bring the integrity, all those necessary qualities to make sure that people identify football with the professionalism that we're going to try and institute within the association. I
mean, you said business.
Yeah.
I think sport globally is a business.
It's a big
billion-dollar business.
Correct.
But when it comes to Zimbabwe, we hear a season doesn't pass by. I'm a journalist. A season doesn't pass by that you hear of players striking, that you hear that certain teams are not able to afford certain expenses. What systems are you, what ecosystem, should I say, are you guys trying to create so that it can be a business? Are you lobbying government to say, you know what, put incentives for people who want to invest in sport? What are some of the things you guys want to do to professionalize our football, especially from a business perspective?
From a business point of view, in fact, from a footballing point of view, the secret to success for any football team, this we learned from the Brazilians when we sent Sunday and Obadiah to Brazil way back. They said there were 5 cardinal points, and the number one thing that we got to get right is the administration, the organization. Once the administration and organization is in place, then you can worry about things like discipline, psychology, training, and tactics. All those come down the line. So we're saying we got to set an example of how an institution, a soccer institution, is run. And we would want this to permeate right down. We're going to be also institute a lot of programs like is it club licensing, all things that will actually make sure that even those people who are running academies, they're recognized for developing a player. Right now, a player is developed in, let's say in Fakos. Somebody is religiously training those kids morning. The kid gets 18 or 16, Dynamos or Highlanders take the youngster. And Dinos can sell that player for $1,000 or whatever, millions. But nothing is accruing to that academy. We want even the academy to join into the business, chain. So that's the kind of things that we're going to try and institute. Recently, we just had agency, an agency training where agents for players.
Yeah, I saw something like that on your social medias, yeah.
So that we formalize these things. In the past, you've just heard of 1 or 2 who were being registered abroad. But these are things that people can do locally. The course was for this year, just had 10 people. But I'm sure next year, when people get to hear about it, you'll get up to hundreds or 300, whatever, people who want to become agents. There's so many facets to soccer. that the business people can benefit from. And we're trying to just expose all these avenues to the community, to the footballing family.
I just want to come back on that agents. I think there are new laws surrounding how these agents operate that came into effect on the 1st of October. We as Zimbabwe, I don't know, outside of the guy that you just mentioned who passed that exam, is there any portal, any platform where we can actually say, if I'm a parent with a child and I want my son or my daughter to work with an agent, is there any platform where we can say, you know what, this is a registered agent? Because I think maybe bogus agents have been an issue in the past before.
Yeah, as the Normalisation Committee, we are putting in place policies and procedures to be followed. And also we're going to have our subcommittees to run with all those things. And one critical thing that FIFA and CAF COSAFA are saying, each and everyone who is involved in any sport, you ought to do a safeguarding course, which is online and it's mandatory. So it gives us the comfort as parents to at least leave our kids to go and play, because we now know that whoever is dealing with our kids has gone through a certain course and he knows the norms and the don'ts and the do's to do. And it's very critical that as a nation, we need to embrace the change and to move forward and not to lag behind as before. And in terms of, you were saying about
Agents.
Agents, fine. We have certain agencies, and we have got issues at one point when a certain club did the agency thing, when people were paying money to scouts. In fact, it's an issue that we are going to have a policy, and knowing the exact agents that we have in Zimbabwe, are they credited by FIFA? And we will make sure each and everyone is known in Zimbabwe. To have a certain player, you ought to go through that. And all the agencies will name them and be known
on a database.
On a database.
I think that would be absolutely fantastic, not only for parents out there, but everybody who's involved in football. And I think, Lincoln, you did highlight that the business aspect is a key element of brand Zimbabwe in terms of football. But you also spoke about administration. That's what got us in this mess in the first place. When we ended up getting banned, it was because of administrative issues. You could even call it poor corporate governance. You could go as far as corruption, whatever you want to call it. So you guys have had to deal with a lot of rot. And I remember listening to the FIFA representatives when they were putting you guys in place. One of the key mandates that you guys were given was putting in place restructuring the organization. I think Rosemary highlighted that, you know, we don't really have a system when agents is something we're trying to put in place. In terms of that restructuring, we've seen technical teams for the senior men's team, the senior women's team, but in terms of the secretariat, we haven't really seen any movement, officially anyway. Maybe something is happening behind the doors. We don't know. But I think that's been a big concern as well, because I think the ZIFA CEO position is still vacant. I'm not sure if we still have a technical director. We used to have a general manager, but I think when the announcement for Clement Matao came through, you guys have dissolved that position. So in terms of that restructure, starting with the secretariat, where are we now?
We have sent out invitation for people to come and occupy the various vacant positions. And I think over the last week, we've actually made firm offers to people for the CEO position, the accountant,
the women's football,
women's desk,
the referees
desk
the
as well.
accountant.
Yeah.
So there are offers, and you're waiting for these guys, or
I think some
to accept the offers, is it?
We did our interviews, and we've done the interviews. We've shortlisted. We have got in touch with the candidates that did well, and we are hoping, we are meeting them on Friday to finalize everything, and we are hoping next week we'll have a full secretariat in place.
All right, I mean, just looking at that, obviously, can I even try and say, are you guys willing to share the shortlisted candidates? We can help you out as journalists, do some research, tell you Niggy is good. We have them on the back page of the Herald. We talk about them on Star FM, we bring them here. They give us their manifesto on the couch.
No, these are very good candidates. The Secretary General, or CEO as you would call it,
Yep.
Is a highly qualified CA who has worked in the accounting field and has been involved in soccer. I'm saying she because it's a lady again.
Yeah.
That's part of the empowerment.
Our upcoming CEO is a lady?
Yeah.
Yes.
So she hasn't accepted the offer? Has she accepted the offer
No, I
or
think
not?
they've accepted, but
Yes.
it's just a matter of us sitting down.
Finalizing everything.
Finalizing. And you can tell the nation now.
And then when we come to the
You
accountant,
just ignored me.
Just wait until Friday.
When we
Just
come
wait
to-
till-
the accountant is a young man who's also got lots of experience in the accounting field. Women's desk, a highly skilled person. I think they're all very well qualified as people, you know, and we didn't just look for their qualifications. We also looked for what they've done in the past. What kind of people are they? That's more what we're liking because we're looking at the mindset. We want to bring a certain mindset within the organization.
So obviously we do have the technical teams for the senior men and women's team in place. You guys, did Rosemary confirm Friday? That's when you guys are going to be telling us who is in the secretariat?
Yeah, Friday up to Monday because we
This is opening the window.
No, I'm not opening the window. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
On Friday, we were meeting them and we were finalizing in terms of their contracts. They signed their contracts on Friday. And then on Monday, we can avail them to the nation. These are the people who will be running our football in Zimbabwe.
All right, I might not be able to get you guys to give me the names, but maybe we might wonder, I was looking at the members of the Normalisation Committee from a human resources perspective. You know, what support did you guys get in terms of maybe being able to then point out to say, I think you highlighted that our CEO is a chartered accountant, she's got a vast history in finance and football. Did you take any advice maybe from HR resource persons to say, you know what, this is what we need to be looking for? Because I'm a passionate person. I might just want to hear that Peter Ndlovu is the new CEO because of, you know, I'm a football fan, but we need to get the right people in the right jobs as we restructure this. So maybe if you can give us insights into how you guys went through that process in terms of then saying, all right, because she's a chartered accountant, because of A, B, C, D, that's why we've picked her.
Okay, I think the secretariat is the engine of the organization. It's got to run smoothly. I believe once we have that secretariat in place, it then becomes easy for us to constitute the Congress. In the past, what has happened is, I think there wasn't cohesion between the executive
The board and the
and
secretariat.
the secretariat. So we're looking for somebody who understands procedures, standard operating procedures, so that they will be put in place. We're looking for somebody who is also knowledgeable about the work that's involved, particularly within football. Because what is happening in football, there's a lot of technology that have come into the game. Club licensing, as I mentioned earlier, we'll also be having
The
VAR, VAR, and all the work in the office is no longer writing. It's all about on the computer.
All right, I'll just interject. You did mention that in the past there wasn't a good relationship, or maybe there wasn't good corporate governance when it comes to the relationship between the board and the secretariat. Yes, you guys, as a normalization committee, you will be the board during your tenure, and now we have the secretariat. What are some of the systems, Rose, that you guys are putting in place so that there is a smooth flow, so that we don't have that antagonism that we've witnessed in the past?
I think the problem that we had before from the ZIFA board and the Secretariat, it was terms of references. As the ZIFA board, you supervise your Secretariat. You don't do the day-to-day running of the association. You leave it to the Secretariat. Whenever they need any decisions which are bigger than them, they come to the board and you discuss. And let the Secretariat do their work. Give them the support. And this was the major problem that they had. The power sharing was not there. Let's share the power where it belongs. And the Secretariat, their mandate is to run the day-to-day running of the association.
All right. I know you guys have been in the job for 3 months, so obviously the first 3 months you're probably acting as a de facto secretariat yourselves because there was no secretariat. But I know as well that you guys didn't use Ziffa House. You guys, I think you've been in Bishop Gao. Is that anything to do with maybe the severance packages that you guys are trying to negotiate with the guys with the previous secretariat? Because I think people will be wondering, you guys are coming in, why are you not working at Ziffa House? I don't know.
Okay. I think, as I mentioned, for an organizational transformation to take place, we're coming in like judicial managers into Ziffa. Ziffa comprises the Congress, the executive, as well as the secretariat. And we didn't know where the problems were. So we stayed in a separate place so that we could be objective.
This was in your capacity as the board.
Yeah, yeah. So we could be objective to fully understand what was happening, where was the issues.
So will the incoming secretariat be at Bishop Gao or at Ziffa House?
There'll be both. In fact, what's happening is we're going to renovate 53 Livingstone, but it's going to work as a place where we'll hold other functions like the referee's desk, women's desk.
So sort of like a village.
Exactly. And then we'll have other functions taking place at Bishop Gao.
All right. All right, it is The Couch right here on ZTM Prime. We are talking to two members of the ZIFA Normalisation Committee, and we're picking their brains in terms of what they want to do for Zimbabwe football. But Rosemary, I think I'll come to you for this one because our mighty Warriors, they are in South Africa. I think they arrived yesterday. They held their first training session at, this was at Wits University this morning, and they will be kicking off their COSAFA campaign against Lesotho. This is on Friday. So this is their first international assignment actually going into, since the return of Zimbabwe to international football. But we did speak to Mighty Warriors coach Shadrack Mulauzi before the team's departure. And he says that the nation lost out on a number of years that were crucial for the development of football. And he hopes that there are plans to revive. That's why I said I want to talk to you. Junior systems and have a proper conveyor belt of talent. Let's hear from Shadrack.
You have to understand that we have had quite a dysfunctional junior league, a junior national team system for quite a long time. So we're trying to put in place systems, processes, so that at the end of the day, we go the right direction as a nation. We lost out on a number of years of development, not only during the ban, we also lost out during the COVID period, while other countries were competitive, putting in place junior structures, because what is important is to test the success at junior level. Once the players begin to test the success at the junior level, you build a culture of winning from a young age. Then thereafter, it becomes easier to integrate them into the senior team. So at the moment now, you can see the succession plan is rather skewed in the sense that some of these players never played in the junior system, but now they've had to be thrust into the deep end because the nation does not have a proper conveyor belt system.
Mighty Warriors coach Shadrack Mulauzi, and I'm sure some of you might be looking at that. Hey, that face is familiar. Yes, he is the coach who took us to our only appearance at the Olympic Games in Rio. Probably, for me, the greatest achievement by any Zimbabwean football team, whether we're talking about the Warriors, we're talking about the under-23, no team has been at a bigger stage. And Rosemary, we spoke about brand Zimbabwe football, and you highlighted women's football and the plans that you guys have in place. I want to talk about junior football. What is the brand you guys are trying to build for junior football in Zimbabwe?
As Normalisation Committee, as I've said earlier on, there's CAF Schools Championship, which was started last year by the CAF President, Mr. Mutasa. As Zimbabwe this year, we've entered for participation, and we are starting at under 15 for this year for the schools championship. Also, next year, as I had said, that we need to start at grassroots. So we need to have the schools leagues being played on a yearly basis, and not being the second term. If we talk of the second term, they play knockouts, like your Protons, your under-15 Coca-Cola earlier on. You play once, maybe one game, and it's gone and dusted. But we need to change our curriculum to suit our players from the grassroots. We are talking of Nash and NAF. Let's have MOUs as ZIFA with NAF and Nash, Minister of Education, Minister of Sports, and to make sure that our grassroots is solid. And as coaches, we tend to maybe to say grassroots is not important, but that's where the basics are being taught. If you are being taught the wrong thing at that tender age, you will never correct it when you're bigger. And this is why we are saying we are starting with the schools championship this year, participating in the Africa Schools Championship as Zimbabwe. We'll start maybe at a national level, and when we do our national level, the team that qualifies, then we select the best from the schools that participated in Zimbabwe. Then we come with an under 15. We are saying of boys and girls. Then we play our zonal, regional zonal in South Africa, maybe in Botswana. We are yet to find out where it's going to be hosted. And then we have got an under 15. As you know, at most of the time, we could have an under 17, maybe participating in the COSAFA, maybe in the World Cup once or twice, under 20 here and there. But as Normalisation Committee, we are saying let's have proper structures in place, starting maybe at grassroots. We are talking of 6 to 13. Let's have the teams. Let's have an under 15 team. Let's have an under 17, under 20. Then the mighty Warriors. Then we are good to go.
All right, Lincoln.
Yeah, I think she's very correct. But what we've also done to support her is in our recruitment, we've actually identified people in the TD department who are able to what? To do it, and to identify the 10 provinces who've actually done this in the past in other countries they've worked for.
That's absolutely. And just maybe before we go to our break, in terms of the junior teams, you know, I can't remember the last time I heard about Zimbabwe sending an under 17, under 21, under 23 team. We saw you guys appointing coaches for the senior team. What's the timeline in regards to coaches for the junior national teams? Because I do understand you guys had put out the vacancies for that. Where are we with that before we go to the break?
I believe we've shortlisted, but we just haven't had the opportunity to start interviewing them. But everything is in place.
And when would you be? Because I love my junior football. I'm excited. Maybe my son can come to the junior Warriors. Yeah. No, when do you think this would happen? Because I think this
maybe after this FIFA break, we should be completed with those.
Rosemary, I'll come back to you. The Mighty Warriors are in COSAFA. We heard from their coach, Shadrack Mlauzi. And, you know, just hearing what you're saying, I can see you guys are on the same page in terms of, you know, the junior structures and everything. But obviously, looking at this particular tournament, what are your expectations as a board for the team as they return to international football?
As a board, we are saying to them they should just go and present as well. We are not asking too much from them, as you know that we have been away from international football for 1.5 years, and they didn't have enough time to prepare for them to go because we had our hiccups here and there. But I know with the team that they have assembled, it's a very good side, and we are hoping they'll progress past the group stages. And whatever happens there, we are fine with it. But when I spoke to Shadrach before they left yesterday at the airport, he was assuring me that he's bringing back the CAF to Zimbabwe for the second time. And we are hoping for the best, and we wish them all the luck. And we have given them the support that they've needed, and they're happy with it. And we wish them well in the COSAFA tournament.
All right, yeah, Zimbabwe winners in 2011. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a drought. No pressure on Shadrach and the Mighty Warriors. But, Lincoln, I'll come to you because I'm a journalist and sometimes you need clarity. When we spoke to Shadrach and the girls when they were training here, they were wearing Umbro kits. When we saw them departing for the airport, they were in PUMA kit. I think in the footage that we've seen being posted on social media of the team there, we've seen PUMA, and just trolling social media, people have been like, come on guys, what's going on? Are we Umbro? Are we PUMA? Is there a new kit deal for the Zimbabwe senior team? I think we can see the images there. We can only see the back, but you can see Coach Shadrach there with the PUMA top. A lot of people have been saying, Mutasa tracksuit PUMA, Umbro. What is happening? Because we're traumatized. So maybe if you can clarify for us, do we still, first of all, do we still have a deal with Umbro for the national team?
No, the Umbro deal lapsed.
When did it lapse?
I think
2019, 2020, somewhere there.
So when the Warriors played against Namibia and Botswana, they were just using old kit.
Yes, they are brand new kits at SIFA, so we had to use them.
And we decided on a new brand.
And I'm seeing the PUMA kits branded Zimbabwe. Is this our new partner?
Yes.
This is amazing. I'll bring you in. No, because we can look at the girls there, and they're looking quite neat. So maybe you just give us a detail, like how long is this partnership? Is this for all national teams? Is this for the Mighty Warriors, for the Warriors? Is this going to cascade throughout the junior teams that we hope we'll see come back, Rosemary?
Yeah, we have just said as Normalisation Committee, when the deal with Umbro is elapsed, so we need to look for our own deal. And fortunate enough, but it was late before the two games that we played, so we had to use Umbro kit. And we managed to sell the deal maybe 3 days ago. And the fortunate part is that we managed to get the kit before the players left for COSAFA. And I'm promising you all the teams, the Warriors, they'll be using PUMA for their World Cup qualifiers. The under-20 COSAFA boys, if it's going to be held, they say they'll have the PUMA kit. The under-17 boys and girls, if they're competing this year within the COSAFA tournament, they are using the PUMA kit. But the unveiling and launching part, it's still in the process. Maybe we will do it next year, not this year. But this is the way we have taken
But it's been signed, sealed, delivered. Zimbabwe is PUMA country when it comes to football.
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out the way. And you heard it first right here on the couch. Like we say, the biggest football show in the country. So Mighty Warriors wearing PUMA, maybe it'll be a good luck charm for them as they begin their COSAFA adventure. But one team that obviously pulls at a lot of heartstrings, I know Rosemary is not going to like me say this, is the Warriors. I think they have a very rich history in terms of how they connect. I think, like I said to you, the Mighty Warriors, for me, the most successful team ever. But I think when it comes to connecting with the country, the Warriors have always disappointed us more often than not, made us happy sometimes. But we've got the Chan coming up. We've got the World Cup qualifiers coming up in November. The Chan, I think I saw something from CAF.
Very dark.
It's postponed, so we don't know what's happening with that. You're waiting for CAF?
Yes. No, it's been postponed, I think, maybe to later.
Indefinitely. Yes. All right, so let's go to the meat. Let's go to the Warriors. The Warriors, obviously, we're playing in those World Cup qualifiers. And as things stand, yes, local teams have been allowed to come and use the National Sports Stadium. I understand you guys had visitors from CAF and FIFA who came and inspected the stadium. Maybe give us an insight in what some of the takeaways they gave you and whether you guys think that by November we can meet some of those demands that they would want for us to do. Have you been in touch with the sports ministry to find out if there's any progress, the local government or whoever can assist you? Have you considered Baba Field Stadium in Bulawayo? What's happening? Because the Warriors are homeless.
Yeah, we did bring in the stadium inspectors so that we could hear it firsthand what was the situation on the ground.
And what did they tell you in terms of what we need to do?
Well, I think there's still a fair amount of work that needs to be done to make it compliant with the FIFA regulations. But they still have to give us a detailed report. But from what we could see physically, there has been a lot of effort put into it. I think the turnstiles, the electronic turnstiles are now there. Water has been put in at the National Stadium. So there's progress, but maybe it might not be enough for November.
Okay, not being enough for November. So that leaves us in a bit of a quandary. You know what? I was like, Namibia came here. They played a friendly with us. I was like, maybe there's something happening there in terms of negotiations. Then we're going to Botswana. They invited us. I looked at their stadium. They got bucket seats. We don't. You know, what's happening in terms of the conversations that we're having with different nations in terms of finding an adopted home for the Warriors for those qualifiers?
Yeah, what you got to understand is, for us, we're actually considering the financial impact of not playing within the country. If we play at the National Stadium at $5 for 60,000, that's 300,000. But if we play in other neighboring countries where there's bucket seats 20,000 and the entrance fee might be slightly lower, we would have had to pay for hotels, we would have had to pay for airfares. All these considerations come into it. And we want to try and minimize our losses, to put it in a way.
So does this mean we're going to South Africa? Because there's a lot of Zimbabweans there.
No, South Africa is also there. We're talking to them. We're talking to Botswana, South Africa. But we're also looking at, within South Africa, the stadiums are located in different places. Yes. And this has got a cost implication. So we're just getting all that data before we can be conclusively say, look, this is where we're going.
All right, you look at, we like to keep it in the motherland. We look at Africa, and, you know, we saw at the last World Cup, Morocco, you know, we were on their coattails celebrating them, making it all the way to the semi-finals. You know, they're set to host, I think, is it 20, they're bidding for 2030 to host the World Cup. But I bring Morocco because Morocco, in terms of their infrastructure development, what they've done as the Morocco FA, I think the Mohammed V complex in Morocco, billions of dollars have been invested in that. The infrastructure is world class. I know you guys as ZIFA don't own any stadiums, but as part of brand Zimbabwe going forward, are there any plans to say, you know what, let's not wait for local government, let's not wait for a club to build a stadium? What are the plans that you guys have to resolve the infrastructure crisis that we have in football?
I think, as you've rightly said, or as we've discussed earlier, football is big business. It is a business, and you cannot run a business while you're leasing from somebody. You need to have ownership of your own farm for you to farm properly. So within ZIFA, maybe not now, but we are thinking in terms of our, what do you call it, the high performance center initially, which is the ZIFA village. We would also encourage all the clubs in the country, the professional clubs and the municipalities, to find each other and give leases, 50-year leases. We know that FIFA is quite interested in helping countries. What they don't like doing is buying land. But once we have a property of our own as ZIFA, they can help us put headquarters or even stadiums.
Right, absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, I am speaking to two members of the ZIFA Normalisation Committee, Mutasa and Rosemary Mugadza, trying to ask the questions that I know you guys have been dying for them to answer. And I think that stadium one, I'm sure even you, as someone who's actively involved in the game, it's a sore issue for a lot of fans. And even from a business perspective, like Lincoln highlighted, it doesn't make sense for as much as we are forced to go and play in South Africa, to play in Namibia or Botswana or any other country. So hopefully you guys will come up with plans that are effected, not just talk in terms of just telling us pipe dreams. And obviously we're just about to wrap it up. Maybe Rosemary, I'll start with you. As we close off the show, maybe in just 30 seconds, maybe just share, what do you want your legacy as a board to be come the end of July next year?
As a board, we want to see change in football as in general. We need football to be a business. We need to change and touch lives of the people who is down in Pindura, down in Guruwe, where football is not known. We need to leave a legacy in terms of development, in terms of changing lives to people, in terms of building Ubuntu, Umuntu in Zimbabwe.
All right. And Lincoln, before I let you to talk about the legacy, we've got an upcoming FIFA international break coming up. We've got those qualifiers. Is there anything lined up for the Warriors as we prepare for those qualifiers in November?
Yeah, and that is part of the legacy. Right now you find that the
legacy is locked here, but I'm saying, do we have an opponent lined up for the FIFA international break?
Yes, what I'm trying to say is, as part of the legacy, we are now a divided country. Football should unite us. And as a united country, if a player is playing in England, in China, he's still Zimbabwean. So we want to try and create that team. We want to get the coaches to be able to have access to all these players.
In the diaspora.
As well as locally, South Africa. That's what we're trying to create, that enabling environment. Not an environment where somebody tells you, I've got an academy player, he's brilliant. Let the coach see him himself.
So are you putting systems in place to make sure that
that's
you can
what we're trying
do
to do.
But you didn't answer my question. Do we have a team that we're playing during the FIFA international break?
Yes.
Who are we playing?
She had explained it earlier. Didn't you mention it?
We as Normalisation Committee, we thought we need to have the best Warriors team for our World Cup.
Yeah.
So as Normalisation Committee, we sat down and we decide, let's have the best out of the
Can you tell us,
best.
because we're just about to finish the show?
We are going to have the Northern Region select,
Yeah.
the Southern Region select, the Diaspora select, the People's Team select, the
Playing
people
against each other.
playing against each other. And Botswana has asked us to play them during the window period between the 9th and 17th, and we are still
Negotiating.